Okay, welcome. So let's get into it. We're going to do a quantum marketplace today on emerging players in quantum. So I'll give a quick update on the quantum marketplace, some overview and trends, the lineup, and then we'll have a lively roundtable discussion. So what is the quantum marketplace? It raises brand awareness, facilitates collaboration, deals, and partnerships. So we have both a web directory of the Tier 1, Tier 2 companies in the QED-C that has a description there. Hopefully they've filled it out. Also, if you see a pink icon next to their name, that means they've also participated in the quantum marketplace, so you can see their YouTube recording. You can type in Google quantum marketplace. First hit on Google is YouTube. You can go right to the channel. You can see all our prior events. Okay, so as I said, this will be on YouTube. All of it will be shared. So today we have the Accelerator Duality in Chicago, and 5 of their cohort from current and past cohorts. We have Great Lakes Crystal Technologies, MEMQ, Icarus, QBraid, and QuantCAD. Okay, some quick overview and trends in the space here. 3 of these companies are doing primarily hardware. 2 are more on the networking memory side, and 1 is more on diamonds and materials. And then we have 2 software companies. 1 is more about enabling quantum computing, and 1 is more in sensing and getting noise out of your quantum system, which everybody in this room has for sure. These companies are, playing in various areas in terms of quantum computing, networking, sensing, and timing, and Duality is helping them accelerate their progress to get there. So in terms of the lineup, we have Easy from Duality. He's the director of Duality. We have Elena Kastman, the VP of Business Development at Great Lakes Crystal Technologies. We have Sean Sullivan, one of the co-founders and CTO of MEMQ. Poulad Emily, founder and CEO of Icarus Quantum, Ricky Young, COO of QBraid, and Jennifer Flate from QuantCAD, who is the founder and CEO. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Easy.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Seriously, I think you should teach a masterclass in getting startups and speakers ready and prepared. My name is Easy Burtz. I'm the director of Duality. We've all been there. We've had an amazing idea, something in our gut that tells us that we should move forward with a novel technology. There's a lot of really unique people with entrepreneurial DNA in this room, but for the most part, people don't really take that step forward. They don't take that risk and bet on themselves. I'll tell you about the first time I was here in Chicago, 2004, winter. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I have no idea what a winter coat is. There's been a lot of talk about navigating the Valley of Death. We stayed in a hotel, myself and 3 other co-founders, also born and raised in Los Angeles. We stayed in a hotel in Streeterville, and we were told by the concierge, go have a drink. We're going to celebrate this win. We were here to pick up a $20,000 seed grant, and we had won a national business plan competition. And so we said, hey, let's go celebrate. Concierge said, walk across the street to Michigan Avenue and go have a drink at one of the bars. Without a winter coat, it felt like literally navigating a valley of death. I'd like to also introduce you to Preeti Chowsani. She's a quantum physicist, Ivy League trained, one of the co-founders of Duality. She was here in the preconception phases, and she wears a dual hat. She is also director of industry partnerships at the Chicago Quantum Exchange, and so she has a very unique perspective that enables you to navigate, enables innovators and technologists to navigate this space. Lisa Heron, newly appointed associate director, and she's the heart and soul of this team. And so all the things that go into cultivating startups, Lisa is the person who's going to help you navigate this valley of death. Who is Duality for? Anybody who has ever had an idea or ever had an inkling or a desire to launch a startup company. And we can go on and on about the technologies here. I think you've heard them. Most of you are very familiar with the various types of quantum technologies in this space. So what we're really looking for is people with entrepreneurial DNA, people who have and optimism about something that they want to dedicate 10 to 15 years of their life to. Happy to talk a little bit more about that. There are no limitations from where you can apply. We welcome people from all over the world. Remember that winter coat analogy. Think about these services as your winter coat. You're putting on your sleeves. You're putting that check in your pocket, $50K. Industry exposure, state-of-the-art facilities. We are equipping you to navigate the valley of death. Duality sits at the nucleum of this powerful consortium of partners. And we have representatives from each and every one of these organizations in the room today. Proud to say. Thank you all for joining us. I think one of the things that makes us unique is being embedded in the Booth School of Business. It's in Hyde Park. 10 Nobel laureates. These are visionaries, pathbreakers, bold thinkers. Many of the faculty members at Booth, imagine this, will be teaching classes and programming, entrepreneurial sessions and training, providing that information to you. It's a powerful alumni network that you get access to, and you also get an opportunity to get exposure to students who want to join these startups. In fact, we had a collaboratorium event in September, and I think we've hired over 10 students to join our current cohort, Duality Startups. I don't need to talk about any more about this amazing ecosystem. It's exceptional. And one of the things that I'll do is I will, don't take my word for it. I'll let you hear from the Duality startups that are here in the room and let them tell you why they chose to incubate their startups in this amazing ecosystem. Last but not least, we are welcoming you to apply. It takes 2 hours to fill out an application. Deadline is the evening of March 25th. Come and let's shape the second century of quantum together. Next, I'd like to invite Alina Kasman, who is the Vice President of Business Development at Great Lakes Crystal Technologies. Alina.
My name is Alina Kasman. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Great Lakes Crystal Technologies. We are leveraging 35 years of research, mostly at Michigan State University, to grow and deliver high-performance diamonds, high-quality diamond for advanced applications. So our goal is to become the leading provider of diamond, of single crystal diamond for high technology applications, for specifically quantum applications. That is, we're talking about NV-Center diamond, and we make diamond plates, we make diamond substrates, and epi wafers, if you look at it, doped throughout, irradiated, just a thin layer on top, or standalone epi wafers. These are the examples of the diamond products that would be relevant for quantum applications. On the bottom, you see all these logos. These are our current partners, customers, friends, family that we love and enjoy developing projects with and new products. This is industry that we are part of building. And by the way, we were part of the inaugural Duality cohort, and so thank you, Duality, and one of the founding members of QED-C. So I'm really excited to share our progress with you. What we do now, our customers are using our diamond, NV-centers in our diamond, to make magnetic field sensors for GPS-free navigation. One of our diamonds was used in a test flight by the Air Force recently. Make quantum microscopes. This is just a random picture off the internet, so not specific, but it's a representative where you could use those. And of course, Department of Defense and Department of Energy is also a very strong supporter of our projects and use our products. In process of developing these new applications in biosensing, quantum accelerators, quantum memory, as we, like I mentioned, co-developing this new future markets and future applications for NV-Center-based diamond quantum applications. Now, since we are with the quantum, right, so of course the top layer, for the investors in the room, these numbers are very exciting. The numbers of the left is what we expect the current market to be. First, right, quantum sensors, quantum technologies, but we provide our diamond products into the high-performance radio frequency and power electronics applications, X-ray, advanced optics and detectors, as well as high temperature and corrosion-resistant sensors and electronics. But the numbers of the right are the exciting ones. This is where these markets are going to grow as we co-develop these applications. Now, I told you we have partners. I told you we have customers. I told you we have investors. We raised our seed funding last summer. We want more partners, more customers, and more investors. So this is my contact information. Reach out, and let's talk.
I'm Sean Sullivan, co-founder and CTO of MEMQ, where we're building hardware for distributed quantum information. And as David mentioned yesterday, we're founded on research out of the University of Chicago in Argonne, the QNext Center based here in Chicago. So what we're doing is bringing quantum memories and single photon emitters to silicon photonics. And we're building integrated photonic quantum system on a chip, or QSOC, for these applications of distributed quantum information. We have ongoing joint development agreements and CRADAs with key stakeholders to bring this to scale. So the vision that we're working towards is our integrated quantum system on a chip, which can generate, store, and distribute quantum information, entanglement in the form of photons in the telecom C-band through standard fiber optic cable networks. So just a quick bit of background. We're fairly new. We've been around for a little bit over a year. We got our start in October of 2022 with this lab-embedded entrepreneurship program at the DOE, that the DOE has, the Chain Reaction Innovations Program at Argonne, that we're still embedded in. We then subsequently raised our Series Seed round, been hitting some key technical milestones along the way, including deterministic qubit placement on photonic elements, completing our team of 6 full-time PhDs based here in Chicago, packaging our own in-house chip, and then just recently doing a full photonics foundry tape-out on 300 millimeter wafers. And so we're actively testing hardware in our systems on the Chicago quantum communication testbed here in the metropolitan area. This is a really excellent resource that we have, sort of unparalleled, fiber network here in the U.S. Where we have access to 2 of the nodes we're plugged into. And so please come talk to me about entanglement distribution, quantum repeaters and memories, wavelength multiplexing, and clock synchronization protocols. These are all sort of things that we're actively working on. But just like to highlight again that this is a very excellent hub here based in Chicago. We've got a lot of excellent partners and support from the state of Illinois as well. I would just like to highlight that again. This is an excellent place to be. And so our upcoming offerings, first offering is going to be C and S band emitters based on our planar silicon photonics. We're actively testing quantum memories. And the thing that I'm really excited about is we've developed these ultra-low loss cryo photonic packaging technologies to really get light from chip to fiber and back again. But please look out for more announcements in Q3 of this year. And if any of this sounds interesting, come talk to me or reach out to us through email. It'd be great. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Pulad Imani. I'm the founder and CEO of Icarus Quantum. And Icarus spun out of NIST. We're based in Boulder, Colorado. And we're making entangled photon sources that are on demand. And we're making these for scalable quantum networks. So we spun out of the Quantum Nanophotonics group at NIST. And we're working on quantum dots, which our group at NIST have been researching on in the past 25 years. And these are semiconductor quantum dots, indium arsenide, gallium arsenide, and they're the most efficient single photon and entangled photon sources. And year after year, they've demonstrated, they've broken the record for single photon efficiency. But we're focusing on just generating entangled photons with these. And the reason we're doing that is first for quantum communications, for scalable on-demand generation of secure protocols. And then later on, of course, the holy grail is to connect quantum computers together in a modular way and increase their processing power using these optical networks. And this doesn't necessarily have to be in long ranges. It can be, in a data center. But still, as we're thinking about scaling quantum computers, it's important to think about modularity. And photonics is the only way to do that. So the gap that we saw in the market was just generating quantum light efficiently. Right now, there are devices in the market that can generate entanglement with efficiencies of about 1%, and they kind of tap out there. They're based on probabilistic processes. So there's a trade-off between entanglement quality and efficiency. And this efficiency, what I mean by that is when I click a button, what's the probability of me getting an entangled photon pair? And our devices, our quantum dots, don't have that trade-off anymore, and they're based on deterministic processes. So they can generate quantum light with 70% efficiency or higher, and this is end-to-end efficiency. And they really enable scalable quantum networking because they bring us one step closer to quantum repeaters. You cannot just, for long-range quantum networking, you don't need only one quantum light source. You don't need one entangled pair. You need to use multiple of these sources, and you need to interface them with each other. And that is what we're enabling. So right now we're prototyping. We have prototypes that are chips. These chips have to be excited with lasers, and they have to be housed in 4 Kelvin cryostats. So if you're working in those areas, we're very happy to talk to you. And on a grander scale, we are interested in building a quantum network, and our device is only one piece in the whole equation. So if you're building any other types of quantum enabling technologies for quantum networks, it'd be awesome to talk. And yeah, by the end of this year, we will raise our seed round. So yeah, if you're an investor in this area, we'd be happy to talk there too. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ricky Young. You may be wondering, wow, this guy's really young, and I hope that's because of my last name. I'm here to talk about QBraid and our mission to make the best platform for accessing quantum software and quantum hardware. I'm going to talk to you why it's better to use QBraid for your development. So if you've used a quantum computer, or if you used a quantum software before, you know just getting started is really hard. Maybe you have a PhD, but sometimes a pip install can be non-trivial when you realize it's not on your Mac distribution. So if you've been there, you've done that, and you get started with coding and you run into all these errors with dependency issues, and you have to learn to use this thing called GitHub, which these software developers use, and you choose from a bunch of hardware providers. They'll be like, hey, we have access, we'll give you, time on our machine. Ultimately, you also need to work on your error mitigation and perhaps in the future, your error correction techniques as well. So on QBraid, what we're working on is building out a more simplified experience. So what if you didn't have to pip install, right? Your major packages for quantum software are already available, and some of them that are exclusively available through us as well. On top of that, we already have the hardware integration as well. So that means you don't have to build a cloud account, you don't have to do these IAM roles. It's all available on your QBraid once you sign in. On top of that, we're working with Qcontrol as well on an error mitigation integration as well, which will give you better results on your hardware too. And this is all on a platform that you probably are very familiar with. It's Jupyter Lab. If you love your notebooks, it's already available. We have integrations with NVIDIA GPUs, OpenAI's ChatGPT, GitHub, AWS, IBM, you name it, it's there. For those quantum computing companies in the audience today, we want to be your last mile delivery. If you have customers that you want to get to, academic courses, individuals that you are like, man, I wish they were using our platform just to understand what they want it for, we're your last mile delivery service. We have been working closely with Intel, QEra, and integrate with our SDK, and you'll get access to being able to write virtual circuits with Qiskit, PyQRR, PyQuil, Chasm 2 and 3, Brocket, you name it, and we can send those virtual circuits to your devices as well. So, who are our end clients? Well, of course, we're working with enterprises. We de-risk to maximize your exposure to quantum computing. We're working POCs as well as just using our platform. Academics, we have a wonderful White House Q12 initiative endorsed course, and our platform is getting super upgraded. If you want to learn more about that, talk to us as well. And I think quantum computing companies, we all want your white labeled and versioned with your nice branding. We also offer that service for our platform. And these are some of our customers and partners that we've been working with. We've been growing very, very quickly. And for individual users, we offer credits to try out, and you can make a free account with us as well. We've done a recent round of funding, so we're growing very quickly. We're looking for customers, investors, and partners. So please reach out. Thank you.
Thanks for Great. Wonderful.
I'm Jennifer Flatte, and I'm one of 4 founders and the CEO of QuantCAD. And our mission is to enable the development of quantum devices by solving noise problems and then distributing them in a fair and an equitable manner. So what's a noise problem? Well, remember when we were kids and we played telephone? And the person at one end of the line leans over and whispers into their neighbor's ear, "Johnny made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." And it goes all the way down the line to the other end, and the person at the far end of the line stands up and shouts triumphantly, "The weasels have taken Mr. Toad to the hovercraft." That, my friends, that's a noise problem. So in quantum, noise is the static in the line. It's the reasons the qubits don't talk to each other. It's the extraneous output that hides the real data. And as we all know, noise is a significant problem for quantum technology, unless you're developing quantum cryptography, in which case you really like noise. But for quantum sensing and quantum computing, solving noise is fundamental to ensuring that the output of your device is both clean and correct. So as quantum computing moves into the era of error correction, understanding the source and the type of noise in the system is essential to developing the appropriate and the accurate algorithms in order to mitigate it. So if we solve the problem of noise, we will accelerate the development and the distribution of devices based upon quantum technology. It will also put the speed, the sensitivity, and the durability of quantum devices into the hands of the people and the industries that could use it the most. So here at QuantCAD, we approach this problem from 2 directions. We're primarily a software company developing simulation tools that run on classical computers. And our semi-empirical tools will help device designers and engineers determine the best materials, the best orientation, and the best position of components within a device to ensure appropriate sensitivity and readable output in real-world environments. Cadtronics focuses on the material properties of layered semiconductors and is used to develop optoelectronic and spintronic devices, and it's currently on the market. Using Cadtronics prefabrication significantly reduces both development time and the number of iterations you need in order to get to a viable product. Cadtronics can also be used to trace why a particular iteration isn't performing optimally. So if you're developing devices that use mid-wave or long-wave infrared, LEDs, infrared cameras, let's talk. Now, QNoise is a simulation suite that focuses specifically on optimizing quantum devices for reduced noise. And QNoise is structured around calculating spin-coherent effects. We expect to have a beta version of QNoise available later this year. And then, in a bit of a pivot, We're actually testing Q noise in-house and using it to build prototype quantum magnetometers, which are small, light, have minimal power needs, and are capable of functioning in a variety of extreme environments, including 500 degrees Celsius. So while NASA and the DoD have some obvious uses for these types of devices, we believe they'll also be successful for things like geographical or geological surveying, navigation in GPS-denied environments, as well as remote sensing in hazardous settings. So, what can we do together? Well, I am so glad you asked. If you're working with layered semiconductors and are wondering why your device is not doing what you expect, Kedtronics can help. If you're developing quantum devices and you want to address the noise in the system, then let's talk about what you're looking for and what your issues are so that we can build out Q noise with your needs in mind. And if the idea of maximizing size, weight, and power in a sensor magnetometer that can function at 500 degrees Celsius or the cold of deep space really excites you, then help us move our prototypes from the lab into fabrication. If you've got noise, get quiet with QuantCAD at quantcad.com.
That was great. Thank you, everybody. All right. So let's go to the first question here. You can see it up there on the screen as well. But so I want to keep this a little bit open-ended here, and I want to start with Easy. So why do you think startups are excited to work with Duality? You're in your fourth cohort now, right? And you have 4 at a time. So why Duality? Why Chicago area? Why?
Since our inception, we've cultivated 15 companies, so on average, 5 per cohort. We're going to welcome cohort 4 in July. I think, a lot of it has to do with the experience, word of mouth from our prior, our alumni companies. We have received multiple referrals that have successfully applied and accepted to Duality, so I think that's one, creating a great experience that transcends into success. The other one is, in this amazing ecosystem here in Chicago, we're a unique outlier. We are singularly focused on helping innovators, technologists, and companies bridge that gap between between lab and the marketplace. So lab to fabrication. So because of that unique status, being here in this amazing ecosystem, I think that's something that piques people's interest. And the other thing I think we've had, of the 15 companies we've hosted, many of them have come from all over the world. We've hosted companies from United Kingdom, from Canada, from the Netherlands. We've had applicants from even further, Brazil, Poland, and go on. So I think it's a combination of our relationships with our consortium partners. QED-C has been a great advocate here. So having this opportunity to have a platform to talk about the Duality application process and being able to interact with QED-C members and partners. I think those are a couple of the ingredients, but maybe I'll defer that question to others.
Yeah, Elena, why did you apply and work with Duality?
So Great Lakes Crystal Technologies is a spin-out from Michigan State University. We were already embedded in the Michigan ecosystem. And having that access to the ecosystem in Chicago, the Chicago Quantum Exchange, Argonne National Lab, Fermilab, University of Chicago, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, these great minds and the facilities, the shared use facilities, and meeting the people who also work in this area. That was really what we took away from being at the Duality Accelerator. Incredibly valuable.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was a no-brainer, right? We were based here in Chicago, and this is an excellent opportunity to get even more involved in the excellent ecosystem that people have already highlighted. And I hope that I also sort of highlighted in my presentation a little bit. But I think even more importantly is just sort of having that community, having a cohort of other similar founders in quantum that you can, this is sort of a very unique accelerator program. There's a lot of startup accelerator programs out there, but there's only well, this is the first quantum-focused one, so there are unique challenges that quantum-focused founders face that you can really sort of, talk to each other and bounce things off of each other, and I think that's really unique with duality in particular.
Great, thanks. So, Pulad, you're Boulder, Colorado. You're a defector.
Yeah, so we're not based in Chicago, so it was a brainer for us to apply. But the reason that we applied was the specialized nature of duality. That it's the first quantum startup accelerator in the nation, and we really wanted to have a cohort of people with similar problems. That if we have a problem, then we probably know somebody who has the immediate problem there. And that has been the case so far. Now, another thing that I've been really appreciating in CQE in general and duality is the diversity here of bringing people from across the spectrum together, starting from high schoolers and going all the way up, without a limit, and organizing all these events that you can interact and network with, people from all different walks of life. That's been really helpful for us.
Great. Ricky?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. We internally asked ourselves this a while ago. We looked at other places like New York and a bunch of other places.
Did you look at Maryland?
We did look at Maryland. We did. It's a great ecosystem there as well. And ultimately, we just found too many good reasons to stay here. And on top of everything that people have mentioned, at the start, we were the first cohort, and we were part with GLCT and QuantCAD. And it was the first quantum accelerator in the nation, if I recall. And so there's that. But since then, I think what makes us stay is that the growth in the ecosystem and the pace of the ecosystem growth is unprecedented here. And that really is the driver for us to stay and keep growing here.
Great. Jennifer?
So we are also not originally from the Chicago area. We are also not a spin-out. And we applied pretty much due to their advertising. They said, technology, we know business. And we said, great, because we know technology, but we sure as heck don't know business. So that's why we applied. And I can say by the end of that first year of duality, I certainly at least started to know what questions I was supposed to be asking. So it was an incredible year of just growth and working with colleagues and learning about what was happening. And that was why we stayed in Chicago. So we're actually expanding in Chicago rather than going back to Iowa.
Great, thank you.
Really quickly, on behalf of Duality, I can't even express how grateful we are to be affiliated with you and your companies. I mean, these are some amazing innovators working across the entire landscape of quantum, and just really grateful that you chose this as a place to incubate your company.
Yeah, and I want to highlight one thing here and dig a little deeper since we had the regional panel yesterday. Chicago and Colorado. It was like a city and a state. I don't understand that still. I think you need to work on the marketing with that, Davis. But Easy, you had said something that was interesting to me in our prep stuff, that you actually are seeing more hardware companies apply to duality now. It used to be more software companies. Can you go into that a little bit? Because I think that's really important, because the hardware companies are really struggling from a capital perspective, right?
We've seen this continued trend with the Cohort 4 applications, even before the deadline, which is Monday the 25th. But specifically, this time last year when I started in duality, we saw an uptick in applicants from hardware companies. And at the same time, we were also looking to refresh our key performance indicators. So this is how we measure the success of what we provide, the services that we offer to duality startups. And one of the things that we found is with a hardware company, the significant investment that's required to get you to scale, to get you on a path to profitability, it pales in comparison to what a software company might experience. Also, if that company successfully raises that capital, they get the government funding that's needed, they're more likely to stay. So that's kind of a sticking point, and it incentivizes them to stay in one location at least for a decade. So when we're looking at our KPIs, we not only want to attract innovators, but we want to retain them here in this ecosystem. And so, I think the uptick with hardware applicants, in addition to what we're trying to do to incentivize companies to remain here in Chicago, I think it was kind of an inflection point. And we're continuing to see that trend, that uptick in hardware companies coming to Duality.
Great, great. And I just want to ask the cohort members here, sort of freestyle here, how much are you, this whole hypothesis that was sort of brought out in the regional conversation yesterday, how much of it is benefiting you that you're in an area that's rich with other quantum companies? Right? Not necessarily always partnering, but just being in an ecosystem, not just the cohorts, but the universities, all the companies that are around here, all the quantum activity. Does that help you? And if so, how much?
I mean, I'll just say yes, and then I'll pass it on to Jennifer.
Okay. All right.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. And an enormous amount.
Can you give an example? Yeah.
Part of it is just having people to talk to. I mean, we're all in disciplines where you need to talk to other people to learn things, to flesh out your own ideas, to move something forward. Nothing that we do in a vacuum. And so just being surrounded by and having access to people in different disciplines, in different areas, and providing that kind of networking, even if we don't collaborate, just being able to talk to people just keeps the development going, keeps the mind growing, keeps the ideas coming.
Great. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I would just comment that I think it's all about achieving this point of critical mass, right? Like there's a lot of effort that takes to overcome, the initial activation barrier, but then once the momentum's there, it just attracts more and more investment. Just like, for example, the tech hubs, the state of Illinois investing a lot here in quantum. JB's like mentioned yesterday, fanboy for quantum, which is excellent. But I think having that sort of momentum just kind of lifts all boats basically in the region, which is excellent.
Pulad.
Yeah, I can say something from two different ends. We've been really fortunate to be a part of, the Colorado ecosystem and then be a part of Duality too. So we're just getting the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, so now we're getting it. Now we're getting it.
Yeah. But yeah, as Jennifer said, it's very important to, if you have a problem, to go to somebody who probably has the answer because they're doing kind of the exact same thing and they're a couple of years ahead of you. So that's been really helpful in both cases for us. And yeah, as a small startup, you have so many things that you can focus on, but you got to pick one. And that picking is going to be crucial. And having people that are facing the same challenges are really important.
Right. Ricky, you want to add anything?
Yeah. I think this is very biased because we have only been in Chicago, and I don't know of another. I can't go into another universe and see what we'd have been in another city. Sure. But what's funny is being here and putting in a lot of your work and grafting on your problem has opened up doors into other opportunities, such as leading a sub-project in the EDA Tech Hub. That was a privilege that we had, and we're hoping both maybe Colorado and Chicago both win something out of the EDA Tech Hub, and that's an opportunity that is not possible unless you were in Chicago or Colorado, and that kind of strategic placing is very relevant, even in a SaaS startup that could technically be anywhere in the world. So that was very important.
Great. Thank you.
If I could add one more point that
Sure.
no one has mentioned yet, is talent is an issue. Hiring good talent and having access to the students, as hiring them as interns, retaining them after they graduate, the more the merrier, best of both worlds. Yes, we've experienced that as well, and it's so important.
Great.
One thing I'd like to add there, you hear from the top B schools, when professors teach entrepreneurship classes, they talk about the siren song of serendipity. So a lot of what makes an entrepreneur and a business successful is this serendipitous nature of interactions and encounters that you have with people, and entrepreneurs who are able to capitalize on that really thrive. And just one element of this ecosystem is we offer free office space through the Chicago Quantum Exchange. So
that's huge.
1 year of free office space. Then if you choose to opt into a second year, it's subsidized. So it's below market rate. And so, that enables a lot of the serendipity. And you've got a lot of interested key stakeholders throughout the world who come to visit the Chicago Quantum Exchange. They walk right down the hall and get a chance to visit with the Duality startup. So that's another aspect of this ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great, and I'm glad you brought up money.
I wanna.
You go ahead, Pooh.
I want to say, the only office that we have is the one in Chicago.
So your apartment or home doesn't count? Do you have a garage?
It sure does.
All right. So for potential investors in the audience, that can be strategic partners, government, EDA tech hubs, and professional investors. What can you tell us about your fundraising to date and future funding plans? We realize many of you are at different ends of the spectrum with this. Just take it for whatever it is. Elena.
Sure, I can start. So we've been very successful securing government funding. We have a lot of projects, so that helped us raise private capital. Government will give you money to develop a specific product and project. They will not fund your expansion. So with the private funding, we were able to really expand our manufacturing capacity. And we continue doing the same. We secured more funds since then from the government, and we will need to expand our capacity to meet the demands of the manufacturing that we are seeing from the customers already.
Great. Sean?
Yeah, our approach has been fairly similar, right? A two-pronged. We are very fortunate that we were able to raise a Series C almost exactly a year ago, and that really catalyzed the expansion of our team, hiring 4 additional folks, all from top PhD programs, really getting the talent into our labs and office space here in Chicago. And then we've also been involved in several grant programs in this area as well. So.
Great, Pulad.
Yeah, so far we've been 100% non-dilutive, so just working on government grants and contracts. And we've been fortunate to get a number of small grants and generate a lot like across the just different branches.
So mainly
of government.
SBIRs or?
Yeah, SBIRs mainly. Like for example, NIST has a different program just for entrepreneurs that are coming out of NIST. So that's another channel, for example. But there is this question that when do you have to go and raise institutional funding? And we're testing the water right now, and that's why we think we're kind of getting to the limit of now we need to make this a business, and so if we want to do that, then we have to go and raise, and that's what we're raising. Yeah.
Great. So Ricky, you guys raised a healthy round.
Yes.
And you are going for it.
Yep, we're going for it. We're growing very quickly and still realizing we need more people to hire, of course, from UChicago and other great universities around here from UIUC. And on top of that, I think what might shed a little different perspective is we've talked to a decent amount of investors, and I think they're really interested in this AI thing. So if you're in the area, we're thinking of hosting some workshops that will kind of get you into quantum, understand what your opportunities are, and if you're interested, just reach out to us as well. So
great.
We're gonna
Jennifer.
So not unlike Pulad, we are at the moment 100% customer funded. We have 4 government contracts as well as sales of our software. The government funding is primarily through SBIRs, though it also includes an open call. And for at least one and possibly two of those programs, with the prototyping that I talked about earlier, we are approaching the point where we need to think about actually moving it out of, our lab and into test facilities and then into further development. So we're not specifically looking to fundraise right now. We're more looking for partnerships, people who would be interested in teaming with us to help us make some of those transitions. That's where we are right now.
Great. And then, Easy, how do you, Duality, after the cohorts exit, I realize you're given potential subsidized rent, space. How else do you stay in touch with the graduates?
Yeah, this is something that we've been thinking about. Coincidentally, when Lisa first started, I think in her first week, one of the questions she asked, among many questions, was, and bringing a fresh perspective, what are we doing to intentionally offer targeted post-cohort services to our startups? And so that's something we've actually actively been thinking about these past few months. One of the things that we are continuing to do is we're going to visit Fermilab. We're also in conversations with Argonne National Lab about on-ramp opportunities. How do you navigate the process of gaining access to shared user facility space? Not only are we inviting our cohort 3 companies, but we're also inviting alumni companies to attend, as well as broader companies who have a play in the quantum space here in the Chicago region and abroad. So that's one way. We continue to host entrepreneurial spotlights. So that's where a founder who's experienced some success, maybe an exit, who has experienced success with fundraising, hiring talent, they come in, roll up their sleeves and talk about that experience. What was the gut-wrenching aspect of, when you think about the lowest point in your entrepreneurial journey, what kept you going? And they tell stories that are really personal. We've got, and I don't want to name, suffice to say, we will invite you if you're looking forward to hearing more about or attending one of our entrepreneurial spotlights. We'd love to invite you, and happy to talk offline about other ways that we're looking to support startups in the post cohort.
I'm going to just add, as the beneficiary of some of the things that Duality continues to offer, it is so fantastic that when I have a question, I can send Easy an email, walk downstairs and talk to Preeti, and know that somebody is going to hook me up with the person who can answer my question. So that kind of support that we got during the program doesn't stop. And for us, that's invaluable.
Great.
One other point about that. Thank you for saying that, Jennifer. It means a lot. With the fundraising, one of the things that we've done is we've doubled down on our programming to enable Duality startups to pursue non-dilutive sources of funding like SBIRs. In partnership with UIUC, for example, they have a FAST center that runs a boot camp to help founders navigate the complexities of the SBIR. A couple weeks ago, we also had a programming session with Osage University Partners, OUP, and they talked about the realities or are helping entrepreneurs adjust to the realities of the private capital markets. And they talked about this record level of dry powder. So there's funding out there, it's just not being deployed as of yet. And so the prediction or some of the trends they were talking about is they're thinking that capital will start to be deployed. They will start to invest that capital into startups over the next couple years. And so I think, positioning the startups as they graduate to go and to be ready to capture some of that investment is something we're looking at.
Great. So you help them refine their investor pitches?
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. So I'm going to go to Ricky first here. You have customers, you have partners. So what question are you hearing most from customers today?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on the customer. So I'll kind of segment it into the enterprise, the academic, and then kind of like quantum computing companies. That's how we usually break it down at QBraid. And starting off with enterprises, I think it's still, we have kind of like the organizational access and the collaborative platform for your team to get started on it. So if you're interested, it's like available. I think for a enterprise, it's still a little too early to actually do the coding themselves. And if you're wanting to get into quantum computing, it's most often we want to do a POC. We want to just kind of get our feet wet and say, what can you do for us there? And we offer kind of like a consulting-based service will kind of work on a problem that you have. On top of that, I think from the academic side, it's really about like, okay, we have all these workforce initiatives. We need to be able to actually use this software, and it's basically very, very difficult to. Yeah. And where can we use your services? And that's where, we have a very robust platform for people to
That's
deploy
great.
courses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jennifer, I'm going to go back to you. You have customers.
We do. We have customers. And I was trying to think about what are we hearing the most. It's more, I'm trying to think how to put this. What people really want to know from us is, wait, are you prefabrication or are you postfabrication? Because they hear we can solve some noise problems for you, and what everybody knows about is error mitigation, error correction. And when we say, actually, we're prefabrication, we can help you build your device, design what you're doing in a way to minimize noise. You can't get rid of it completely, but at least in a way to minimize the noise so you have less to do on the other end. And then they get very interested. But I think that's so we have a lot to do in sort of the educational space about exactly what it is we're capable of.
Yeah, great. Go ahead, Ricky.
If you don't mind me adding one more thing, I think what's been really recent demand from our platform is integrations with GPUs. So we are building capacity for H100s, and we already have capacity for A's and V100s. These are
not everybody knows what that is.
Yeah, so these are like NVIDIA's GPUs for essentially doing calculations that would take a lot longer on a CPU, and you can use these for quantum simulation as well. And those have been gaining a lot of requests as well. So that's
great. So I'm going to go to Elena.
So I mentioned 4 different application spaces that we play in, and universally throughout all of them we're hearing, can you make the product faster, more of it, preferably yesterday, and maybe 10 times cheaper.
Not the product speed, but how much you make of the product.
Exactly.
Yeah,
quantities, volumes, size, just make it.
So how many NV Diamond Center suppliers are there in the United States?
Just us.
Wow. Sean, do you have customers?
No, so we're an early stage startup, hardware startup.
But you talk to customers.
We talk to customers, yes. So we especially and potential beta customers as well. But yeah, very similar. We're hearing like how quickly can you deliver this? Like how fast? If people are just want to hit the ground running. The other thing that kind of has been coming up a lot recently is discussions about ITAR and the sort of export controls surrounding quantum technologies in general, and there's a lot of concern, I think, in the community that we're hearing about these kinds of things.
So I'm going to ask you the same question. So how many companies are in the United States that are doing solid state memory?
Just us.
Yeah. Okay. Pulad.
Yeah, we do have potential customers.
Right.
But yeah, right now with our prototypes, with our chips, they have to be housed in cryostats. So we're looking at academic partners to be our customers later on. And in that case, the first question that we ask is, do you have a dilution refrigerator or do you have a cryostat in general?
Wow.
Right.
Those are long lead time.
Yeah, exactly. But another thing, like going around and talking to quantum networking testbeds, that would be our, one level up customers. It's not clear if they want us to be their customer or if we want them to be our customer. So that's to be determined. But I think who's customer in this quantum world is a question.
Okay, great. Oh, Easy, you want to add anything to that? You must hear a lot of...
I think they captured. I've just been fascinated with this experience, so yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to steal their thunder.
All right. So what is your company's biggest challenge in succeeding in Quantum 2.0? And I'm going to start with you, Easy, because you see all the companies. What do you think their biggest challenge is ultimately succeeding once they get out of the accelerator, once they get all grown up or not?
I think there's two valleys of death that need to be navigated. So you get to that prototype phase, and you have maybe some early customers that you capture. But then how do you navigate that second valley, which is now you need to scale up and be able to provide larger amounts of quantities of the hardware or the software that you're providing to customers? I think the companies that are successful with navigating that second valley are the ones that are going to be the shapers of this second century of quantum. Many of you are aware that quantum mechanics was invented 100 years ago, or next year in 2025, it will mark the 100 year of the 1 century milestone of the advent of quantum mechanics. And so now what we're doing is we're looking for quantum innovators to come shape that second century. And I think those who will be successful in shaping the second century will navigate that second valley of death really well.
Great. Lena?
So I mentioned during my talk that we work together hand in hand with our customers, right? They're truly our partners. They're developing the applications. Often these are academic partners. They need funding. The funding comes from the government. The time cycles are long. So the biggest challenge is time, is waiting for that call, waiting for the award. And in case of SBIR, that's a 3-year timeline, phase 1, phase 2. And often after phase 2, you need to do another phase 2. To really show something for that. So time, really time.
Great. Sean?
I would say to Easy's point, I think it's really about picking systems or finding on the hardware side in particular things that you can really scale up, that you can do manufacture repeatably, that and still achieve the properties that you need. Basically going from hero devices to something that you can churn out on demand. I think that's there's still a lot of things that are in the lab. This is like a one-off kind of device that you've made, but like how do we take this and just say we want to make exactly 1,000 of these on a single chip and make many of those, and then I think that's the manufacturability is a big point. Yeah.
Okay. Pulad?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is having an actual business plan. And like we're all coming out of academia, and the pull to do research is so tempting that you leave me alone, you're going to find me in the lab, right? And so that might not be the best way of doing this. There has to be some way that you're thinking about that, this is a business. This is not a research project, right? And so there has to be some type of thinking behind how do we scale this, and also when do we scale this? Like with our entanglement sources, if I have 1 million of them right now, who's going to buy them, right? So with what pace but like with a concrete plan to move forward, I think that's the biggest challenge for most of us.
At least where you're at right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ricky, what's your biggest challenge now?
Yeah, I think as a software platform, it's like very easy to scale. The problems are not impossible. I want to interpret this more as our constraints are more on the hardware side. As the hardware progress, we're kind of constrained as to...
Yeah, all software companies in quantum are.
Yeah. And lo and behold, I think the problem that we aren't thinking enough about is in the situation that there is an application and there is some kind of, maybe speed up per se, the access controls, the export controls that we have to deal with, plus the cost of even running it are things that we have not addressed. Mm-hmm. And those might be the biggest challenges for us that we have not thought about enough in the advent of a successful Quantum 2.0.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jennifer?
It's not an easy question to answer.
And I think I have two answers to it, because two is always better than one. I think the first answer is maintaining balance. I think the reason that we've been successful so far, and the thing that is going to be necessary for us to keep being successful, is maintaining balance. We put our original founding team together so that it was balanced. It was two scientists, an artist, and me. And we can get into my background later. But the fact that we started as a team knowing that none of us could have done this alone, and that we needed all the different perspectives to kind of pull the thing together and get it rolling down the path. And now it's rolling. It's rolling, actually rolling a lot faster than we expected it to. And so we've grown. Since November, I've hired 5 people. Unlike these guys, I actually only hired 2 PhDs. I've hired someone with a master's and someone with a bachelor's degree. Again, it comes down to maintaining that balance between what we need internally to keep moving forward in a controlled way on the path that we want to follow, and being responsive to, ultimately what's going to keep us going, which is the people who are going to buy our products.
Oh, great.
There might be an opportunity to share like a real world example. And so water is life-giving, right? So if I'm thinking about this bottle of water, if I wanted to turn on this faucet, I probably wouldn't want to drink water from this faucet. Well, why is that? There may be some contaminants that might poison me, that may cause me to have ill health. So let's think about quantum technologies that would help with that scenario. Quantum sensors can help me sense the level of contamination, the type of contaminants in the water that might come out of this faucet. And then you have optimization algorithms. And so let's say if I wanted to take a step further, an optimization algorithm could help me understand, well, what is the most optimal method for cleaning up that water and making it so that it's drinkable. So companies that figure that out are going to do, and that's just one of many scenarios, right? Real life situations. Companies that figure those types of situations out, they will be the leaders in Quantum 2.0.
Great, thanks for that. Okay, so does the audience want to ask them a question? You don't need a microphone here.
This is awesome. 2 of my favorite things are quantum mechanics and entrepreneurship, and so this is checking all boxes. I'm proud of all of you. It's brave. I also say, as an entrepreneur that's been doing it for a bit, buckle up. Duality is awesome. Huge fan. So I've got too many questions, but I'll limit them. So for Duality, do you track and metrics folks who graduate? Then for Alina, for Great Lakes, there are other companies that do industrial diamond, things like Element 6. Is your specialty that you do controllably put in the vacancies, or are there other special things? And then for Icarus, and then that's it, the last question. For Icarus, so I'm assuming you're generating, I'm a big fan of quantum dots, they're amazing. I'm assuming you're generating light in the telecom bands. What about the detection side? Like that's part of the whole thing. So how do you handle that?
Scott, thanks for the question. I'll chime in from the duality perspective. And first, I want to acknowledge, always good to meet somebody who has shared enthusiasm about this space. Yes, to answer your question, we do track certain metrics. So going back to those key performance indicators that I mentioned, how we measure success, we send out surveys to track fundraising, hiring, economic impact, how well the companies are getting product into customers' hands. And then there's other metrics that we use is regional growth. So are the companies staying in Chicago? Do they continue to have a presence beyond their graduation date? And for the most part, of those 15 companies that we talked about we hosted, most of them still continue to maintain a presence. 10 or so maintain some type of footprint here in Chicago. And that's just a few of the metrics that we use.
So to continue what he said, we're from Michigan. We went back to Michigan. We continue having a presence in Chicago. We want to grow it. So that's, if that's any help there. As far as I know, we're the only commercial entity that does the full stack, meaning not in the software world. I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. Where we grow the diamond, we put the nitrogen in, we activate it. And in other cases, QNext, of course, at Argonne does that for their partners. They're not commercial. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so thanks for your question. So, yeah, the first part is, yeah, our quantum dots, maybe they're generating photons in the telecom band, which they are not. So, yeah, our indium arsenide quantum dots, they work around 900 nanometers, and gallium arsenide at 780. So 780 you can use for free space, but yeah, 950 or 900 nanometers. We have to do some type of frequency conversion to go to telecom if we want to go into fiber, which we do. And then on that end, our group at NIST, the Quantum Nanophotonics group, makes the most efficient superconducting nanowire single photon detectors in the world. We've demonstrated 98% efficiency, and you need a bit cryo. So that's the problem. So what they're working on that side, my colleagues, is, well, how to make this work at maybe 1 Kelvin. So we think now the new devices work there. But yeah, they're working still. Like the fabrication works reliably with 90+% efficiency at any wavelength. So that's awesome. The challenge for us is actually how to get the counts up, because our quantum dots are generating billions of photons per second. So getting the speed of these detectors up is a challenge, which also we're working on.
Great, thanks. So that concludes. I'm going to let Celia say a few words.
Well, thank you all, and congratulations to Duality for a great program, and delighted that you're all members of QED-C. Let us know how we can help as you navigate your journey. I see you, really, I want you to rest assured that you're the folks who I focus on the most and think about the most when I get up every day and think about how to help this whole community to move forward faster. So we really do want to know how we can help. And thanks to everybody who stuck around till the end of the program here. Delighted to have spent the last day and a half here at Northwestern University, and I hope to see you all again at the end of June and then at the end of October at future QED-C plenary meetings. And please engage in all of the different activities that are relevant to what you're trying to do. So, and same message, I guess, to everybody here. John, did you have any other wrap-ups? Nope. See you in June. Thank you.